Let's see. There it goes. All right, y'all. All right, so we want to go ahead and find our line of fit. The calculator is literally doing everything for you. So is everybody on their graphing? All right, you see this plus sign right here? Click that. Do you see how that drop-down window? You want the table. So click on the table. Make sure you're paying attention because I'm not going to sit here and reteach it, okay? All right, if you notice, once you do that, you should have an X1 here and a Y1. Do you have that? What are you doing, pal? What are you waiting for, boy? All right, so you're going to go ahead and you're going to enter your data. Your X is your latitude, so put all those numbers on your X in your calculator. Oops. And then put all your Y values, your temperature, on the other side of the table. And just make sure that everything matches up. Okay, sometimes when you're typing quick, you may have made a mistake and something might not have a number, so then it's going to tell you there's an error. So do that first. Let's make sure everyone's up to date with us. Your computer. That out. All right, everybody good with that part? Where are you at? Oh, you're still typing that. Okay. I don't believe the 90 was on there. Okay. We should be good now. All right. So to make our line of fit, we have to put this in our calculator. And I would write this down on my paper if I were you, because you're going to have to use this for every question. It's the formula for your line of fit and how it goes in that calculator. So you got to put Y1. This little squiggly is called a tilde, and I'll show you where you find that on your calculator. And then M X1 plus B. That's your slope-intercept form equation. We used that yesterday. It looks a little bit different with that like squiggly instead of an equal sign because that's how you put it in your calculator. And remember, just like we did yesterday, we needed to know our M, which is our slope, and our B, which is our y-intercept, in order to write our equation. The calculator is going to give us that all. And then we're going to want to look at our R, which is our correlation coefficient. Okay. All right. James, did you get caught up? All right. So on the next line, first of all, before we put our equation in, can y'all see your scatter plot? scroll around on your, you probably can see it better than me because mine is. I see my scatter plot. Find your scatter plot points. You see it? What can you tell that they do? They decrease. So it's what type of correlation? What type of correlation are they going to have if they decrease? Yep. So then your slope should be negative also. Okay. So now the line is going to be put right in there. So go to line 2. Before I tell you exactly what to type in, do you all see to the left of the number 1 on your keyboard? Look to the left of the number 1. Do you see a little squiggly there? It should look like that, the tilde. You have to hit shift and that after you put in Y1. So type in Y1 and notice when I put the 1, it puts it down below like I want it. And then hit shift and the tilde, mx1 plus b. Do that first. And then I'm going to come around and make sure you have that. Correlation coefficient. Good. Something happened here. You didn't put the X1. That's why you don't have your line. Okay. All right. So let's look at a couple things here. First of all, do y'all see your line that it made for you? Are your points close to that line or further away? Would you say it's a strong or a weak? They would have to be further spread away to be a weak. Okay, and the way you can tell, they look pretty close to me. Look at your R value here. Is that, so it's a negative because it's a negative slope. So you want it to be close to -1. So your R here is -0.9. Is that close to -1? Yeah. That means it's a strong negative correlation. So that means your line of fit is really good. Those points are close to it. Okay. Now let's figure out how to write our equation. We got to find our M and find our B. Do y'all see it down here on the bottom? It's a decimal though, right? Okay. You carry it 2 spots after the decimal. 2 spots after decimal always. So let's not forget that. Okay. So my slope is -1.07167. What number there is 2 spots after the decimal? The 7. Does the 1 that's after the 7, does it do anything to the 7? No, remember it has to be 5 or higher to round it up. So I just stop at -1.07. Put your X on the end there. Now my B value, my y-intercept. Now I got to get that at the end. So that is 92.8667. 2 spots after the decimal. What number is 2 spots after the decimal here? The first 6, right? So check the number after 6. Does that do anything to the 6? What does it do to it? Goes up to a 7, right? So this should be plus 92.87. So you got your equation. And you really didn't do much. Do not forget the rounding. You round to the 2 spots after the decimal. So the 100th spot. All right. The reason why we need to get that equation is so we can do an estimation or a prediction. It says estimate the average temperature for a city with a latitude of 48. Well, my latitude is my x, right? So they're telling me the latitude is 48. They're telling me x is 48. And they said find the average temperature. So they're saying if x is 48, you need to find y. So take your equation. Wherever you see x, you're going to plug in 48. And then we'll put it in the calculator. I don't expect you to do that work. So once you get that x value, take this part, put it in your calculator so you can find your y, your average temperature. So put it into the third spot here. So what do y'all get for your average temperature? 41.54. So what do you think that would be about? Because usually with temperature, we don't say it's going to be 41.5 degrees, right? 42 degrees. So about 42 degrees. So when latitude is 50, or sorry, is 48, temperature is 42 degrees. Fine. And you truly are not doing much there besides put it in that calculator. The only thing you're kind of having to interpret is that last part on that estimation. Okay, they're going to be telling you your x and they want you to find your y. Yeah. Quick. All right, any questions on that one or questions about the calculator? For everyone, I'll keep coming around to check because then you're going to have to do some on your own. So you're going to need to know how to use that calculator completely on your own, okay? All right. Let's look at our second question. Now, before we start our second question, everything in your calculator right now, go ahead and delete it. Because you don't want that messing us up for the next question. So everything should be cleared. All right, so the data in the table below shows the number of passengers and number of suitcases on various airplanes. So you got passengers and suitcases. Which one is your X? Which one is your Y? Very good. And then suitcases got to be your Y, right? All right, find the line of fit. Put it in your calculator first. So hit the plus sign. Go to your table, put all your X. It should say X1 and Y1. Put all your X's in and then all your Y's. Be careful typing them in. Make sure you get them correct. And then put the Y's that match. Make sure everything has something to match up with, okay? And then find your points. I see my scatter plot right there. Yeah, I'm gonna have plus B there. There. Good. Right, some of you have already put the second part in, which is perfect. Let's just make sure you got to be careful with your rounding on that second part. Right? You missed what? Okay, so what was it? 115. After 115 should be 128. So click on 143, type in 128. And then after 128 is 143. All right, everybody has something. X matches up with something. All right, let's go ahead and put our equation in since some of you are already at that point. So go to the second spot here. What am I going to type in there? First of all, can everybody see their scatter plot? The positive correlation, so it should have a positive slope, right? All right, so type in y1 tilde m x1 plus b. Type that in and let's see your line. All right, now type in your y1. Everybody got their line? Do your numbers look like mine do up there? Anybody having an issue? You got yours? And you got yours? All right. So look at your R. Your R is 0.9. Is that a strong positive, a weak positive, or a perfect? Remember, you want it close to either positive 1 or negative 1. This is a positive, so we want it close to positive 1. Is that close to positive 1? So then it is a strong. It's not perfect because it's not exactly at 1, right? All right, now we got to look at our M and our B. How many spots after the decimal do I round? 2. So what's my slope going to be? 1.9 what? Very good. And then put the X right after that. And my B value, what's my B value going to be? 7.9. Very good. That second 6 rounds the other 6 to a 7. Just be cautious on that rounding part there. Okay? So we got our equation. Anybody have an issue getting those numbers down there on their calculator? If so, I need to come see it. Everybody good? All right. Next part says, estimate the number of suitcases on a flight carrying 250 people. Is people on my X or on my Y? My X. So they're telling me that X is 250. They want me to find Y. So use your equation. 1.98 times X. Well, X is 250. Plus 7.97. And then just put this part in your calculator and you'll get an answer. So you'll be able to know how many suitcases there are for 250 people. So go to the third line, put in your equation. Instead of X, it should be 250 people. So how many suitcases will they have on that flight if they have 250 people? About 503 suitcases. So Y is 503. And we got our answer. Easy enough. Now, the only thing that gets a little tricky is if your data is ever talking about years. And I believe in number 3, does number 3 talk about years? Yes. That's where it gets tricky. Okay, and it's not that it's hard, but you do have to think a little bit more when they're talking about years. So let's get to number 3, and then I'll let you guys try some on your own. Not right now. Once I go over this, okay? Because you're going to be lost. All right. The data in the table below shows the number of graduating seniors at Cannon Valley High School since 2012. Be careful here. Some of you are already typing away in your calculator and you're not going to put it in the way you see it. What's your X? What's your Y? Good. Whenever you have years, you never put in the year with that actual whole number. Your first year is always 0. My second year, 2013, is how many years since 2012? 1. So this changes to 1. 2014 is how many years since 2012? Okay. And keep in mind, it's not always going to go 1, 2, 3 either. It just depends on the numbers. 2015 is how many years since 2012? And then 2016 would be 4 years since 2012. And 2017 would be 5 years since 2012. So be very cautious with numbers. Years. All right, let's clear out everything you have here. Put all the information in. Bless you. And then find your scatter plot. Make sure you can actually see what it does. New one. Get your equation. All right, finding your scatter plot. Oh, girl, you didn't delete your information? Did you delete that one? You gotta delete it. You delete that one. You gotta start fresh. Okay. You got yours? You can see your data? Anything you good? Oh, you even got your equation. All right, so you're way ahead. All right. So let's go ahead and get our equation. So type in your second spot here, y1 tilde m x1 plus b. And go ahead, see your line of fit. My points are really close to my line. So, and I can tell my R value is 0.9. That's really good. That's really close to +1. That's what I want. So it's a really strong positive. Now I got to worry about the rounding part, right? To write my equation. How many spots after the decimal do I round? 2. So look at my slope. What would my slope be? 9 point what? Very good. The 1 after the 7 doesn't do anything to the 7, so just leave it as 9.17. Put your X after it. What about your y-intercept? 338 point what? Okay, but we only take it how many spots? What'd you say? We take it 2 spots after the decimal. So isn't the 3 in the second spot?
Yeah, but the 3 is not going to...
No, if we take it 2 spots after, the 3 is the second spot, so then you check the number after the 3. So the 8 would do what to the 3? Make it a, so 0.24. James, you were thinking if I just took it 1 spot after the decimal, right? And you would have been right in that sense. All right, now we can answer our question, but we got to be careful here. Estimate the number of graduating seniors in 2025. 2025, am I allowed to use the actual year? So in order to figure out what x equals, I got to know 2025 is how many years since 2012? What number would that be? 13. Didn't you just do 2025 minus the first number, which is 2012, to give you 13? So if x is 13, what's y? So plug it into your equation. 9.17 times 13 plus 338.24. So put that in our third spot there. And it gets me 457. So in the year 2025, there'll be 457 graduating seniors. All right. Do we have any questions? 457, Miss Riley. So you got to be really careful with years. Yeah. In one sec. Let me just go over one thing and then you guys can both go. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at, you guys are going to do 4, 5, and 6, but I want to tell you a couple things before I set you free to try it. So let's go look at 4 really quick. 4 is talking about the data in the table on the left shows the Olympic 500-meter gold medal speed skating times. So remember, the first one is your X, the second is your Y, right? When it's talking about years, can you actually use the year? So what do you use? Ty said no. What do you use for the very first one? Always 0. So 1980 turns into 0. Now be careful. Yeah.
I think I know.
What do you think?
0, 4, 8.
How did you get 4, James? Because 1984 is how many years since 1980? Okay, so then what'd you get for the next one?
12, 13.
Well, you missed 8 here, right?
Yeah.
8 and then 12 and then 14 and then you said 18? Notice it's not consistently counting by 4s, right? So just be careful. Sometimes there'll be a pattern, sometimes there won't, because this one kind of jumps to 2s there. All right, before you do that one, let's look at number 5 really quick. That is also talking about years. Are you allowed to use the actual year? So what should you use for 1994? What should you use for 1995?
1.
All right, and this one looks like it's counting by 1s, right? So that one actually goes from 0 to 5. So that one was easier. You didn't really have to think much about that. Okay? The very last one, all I want you to do on the last one is answer part A. So just put a slash through that B part. So you're doing all of 4, all of 5, and 6A, just that part. And you got a lot of time right now. You'll be fine to get this done before lunch. All right, you should go to the bathroom quick. So put it in your calculator. I'll come help you. Remember, how many spots after the decimal do we round? 2. So be cautious of that. And if you have a question about how to round, I'll come refresh you. Oh, let me stop this video for them.